This is a production of KMmedia.pro. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So come on over into our world. I know you'll like it, because on today's show... First of all, I have to tell you, welcome to Wednesday. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the city. And I'd like to thank you all for being here. And a couple of questions I have to ask you. Are you frustrated by an inability to find peace and understanding in your life? Do you hunger for a deeper meaning and purpose? Well, we have a guest that is going to help you with those questions. His name is Indra. We're going to be talking to him in just a moment. But first, I have to talk to my friend Eric. Eric, how are you, young man?
Hey, good afternoon, Kevin. I'm doing fine. Happy Wednesday to you.
I haven't been outside yet. How's the weather?
It's a beautiful day today. I mean, temperatures are around 54 degrees and we got sunshine. So, midway through November, I think this is pretty decent.
You know, the sad thing is by the time I finish this show at 5 o'clock, it's going to be dark.
That's right. We're in standard time now. So we've got those earlier sunsets.
I really am. I look forward to December 21st, I think it is, when the days will start getting a little bit longer after that.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. So, but in any event, we got a great show for you today. Thank you for being there for us, Eric. You always make us sound really good, and sometimes you can even make us look really good.
I do what I can.
It's all you can do. So thank you, sir. And without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today. Indra is his name, and he's an astrologer, and he works with several other modalities to help you live your life to the best extent that you can. And with that, Indra, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm very happy to be here. I'm doing well.
And
we're warmer than 54 down here in California.
Oh, really? What part of California are you in?
I'm in Northern California. Sunny today. I don't know what it is, but I was ready to take my jacket off.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Well, Northern California is a beautiful area. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, I appreciate that greatly.
Yes, indeed. So I wanted to talk to you today because you have you've spent your life, at least the later part of it, learning about how to live more effectively, and and understanding the fact, a couple of things that you say. First of all, there are certain truths that are inherent in this world. One is there exists a universality of things that are connected in all ways, which I also believe to be true, that we are all one. And if we could just convince each other of that, it might change everything. And life on Earth is part of the universe, which feeds us and makes all life possible. And I know a lot of people aren't going to necessarily agree with this, but this is a special time to be alive. Why is it a special time to be alive?
Well, I mean, any moment it's a special time to be alive.
No kidding. I'm just happy I woke up this morning.
You know, I mean, if you're in your 60s and 70s, that's the way you view life anyways. But it's a special time because it's a crux time. There's a lot of change going on, and there's a lot of new things going on, and life is sped up, which makes it more difficult in the sense that there's so many overwhelming changes. But this time of change has a dynamic energy to it, just by the nature of it being a change, and it being just by the nature of it. And so there's so many opportunities now, and I don't mean that you can go online and that you can travel the world, but I mean you can go inside yourself, you can go outside yourself, You've got tools. I was at the dentist today, and I was getting a crown, and I was talking today about 100 years ago that they didn't have crowns. The guy made the crown right there in the office. Boom, an hour and a half, I'm gone, with my crown. That didn't happen maybe 10 years ago, and 100 years ago, 200 years ago, it would have been made out of wood or gold. It's so changeable, and in that changeability is the dynamic energy for us to be able to change within ourselves and to let go of patterns that we've been holding on to perhaps for lifetimes, if you want to go to that, and certainly for decades. So that's the way I view it, and I've been doing this my whole life. Really, I started on the spiritual path in my mid-20s, and it's more than 50 years now.
Oh no, you're not 70. No way.
No, I'm not 70. I'm 77.
Oh crap! I hope to still be walking around when I'm 77.
Well, I'm a little bit amazed, but no, if I count it by human years, it's 77, and how I may look and how I feel, is much different. Knock on wood. What a blessing for me. But that's my reality. I'm heading back to India in 10 days. I'm jumping off the bungee jump with no bungee, and I'm going back over, and we'll see what happens. But it's a huge leap, because even though I've been there 20 times, it's been 5 years since COVID, but I mean, you never know every day over there is completely different and new, and so you can't understand there from here, and you can't understand here from there, and so I just leap. That's all I know what to do, is to leap and trust that I'll land.
50 years ago was the early 1970s, and times were so different then. And to just decide that you wanted to walk a spiritual path, nobody even knew back then what that meant. How did you figure that out for yourself?
Well, I did the same thing I've always done, is get lucky, I suppose. It's just I just was open and just listened. When I moved to California in 1970, we found natural foods, which we didn't know before. And then we found metaphysical bookstores, which we didn't know before. And we started buying books, and we started reading, and we just went for what seemed right. That I got to a place where I don't remember how I said it back then, but I, like now I might say I needed to find myself. I needed to, it was worth it for me to put my energy into being happy rather than trying to achieve a goal, which I didn't really have any goals that way particularly. I wasn't particularly materialistic, or I'd already dropped out of graduate school. I was in the number 2 MBA program in the country, and it was incredibly dull, and it wasn't my thing. It wasn't that I wasn't going to do business, but I certainly wasn't going to do corporate business that way. And so I dropped out, and I had an ability to be able to follow what I did believe. And I have this phrase I sort of say: you don't need to know the last step, you only need to know the first step. And so my attitude is that and I work with clients this way, is that you don't need to know how it's going to work out, and where you're going to end up, and who you're going to be with, and how it's all. You don't need the end of the fairy tale. You only need to take the first step, because the first step will lead to the second step, which will lead to the third, which will lead to the fourth. And if you take it as a one-step approach and be happy with that, then the possibilities are endless. And that's all that I did, is that I just kept following what seemed right to me, quote unquote right, and it was able to ignore the outside noise of all the shoulds, of the shoulds. I just didn't really believe them. I didn't really I'm not sure that I ever believed them, but I certainly didn't believe them by then, and didn't have any reason to follow them.
I got to tell you a couple things. First of all, is that I did that 20 years ago. And if you'd have told me 23 or 24 years ago that in 2023, I would be sitting here on the radio in Seattle talking to a learned man like yourself, I would have told you you're high. There's no way that that's going to happen. And look at that over the course of those 20 years. And I did want to get your opinion on this because I think it's important that if you are sitting there going, why am I really here? Which is to the two questions I asked myself. Why are you really here? And what are you really here to do? It's not about making money. It's not about having the house and the kids and the cars and all of the stuff, although the kids are important. But to have all the stuff, it's about why are you really here? And I had a friend when I asked that question, he said to me, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you go to a metaphysical bookstore? And I said, what's that? And he said, it's when he explained what it was. And I said, go to a metaphysical bookstore and buy the first book that speaks to you. And so I did. And it turned out to be Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton. And it quite literally sent me on the path of everlasting change. And so I wanted to ask you, is that good advice to give somebody?
To go to a metaphysical bookstore?
Yes.
Well, if they haven't been to one, I think, yeah, I think go to nature, go to a park, go to the ocean, put your feet in the ocean, climb to the top of a mountain. Any of those things work. The metaphysical bookstore, if you're learned based and like to read, then that's a good way to do it. But if you can hear, then you can get it at the ocean, or you can get it at the mountaintop, or you can get it in the park if you're really good. But I do want to refer to what you said about these whys. Are you still in your 60s or are you in 70s?
No, I'm in my 60s.
Okay, so I say, being in 70s, that the question of why has completely disappeared.
It's going away for me as well.
Okay. The question of, it doesn't really matter why anymore about anything that I can churn on it and I can try to figure it out, and then I can know why, and then I can relieve some anxiety perhaps if I have an anxiety about why. But it comes down to that it doesn't really seem to me to matter why anymore. That I just do. I stop making decisions with my head. I make them all with my gut, just the feeling. And in that, it doesn't really matter why, because I'm not trying to figure out the right thing or trying to compare anything. It's just, it's not a, do I want this or do I want that? It's just, is this it? Okay, if this is it, this is it. And if this isn't it, then is this it? And it's a completely different kind of questioning that I like to tell people that they know the answer. That people come to me and they say, well, what should I do? And I say, you know what you want to do. And they say, no, I don't. And I say, well, you know what it is. And then they'll say, you mean that? And I'll say, yeah, that. And then they'll say, oh, yeah, I always wanted to be a photographer. That's what you should do. And does that mean you're going to be a success at it? Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter the result. The process is the enjoyment. And so if you feel you're supposed to study photography, then study it. And if it isn't the last step, then it'll be the first step. And it doesn't matter. 50 years, it doesn't matter whether it's the first step or the last step. It's a step. And that's the process, is taking the steps and not worrying about the result or where you're going to get to.
That's hard to do for a lot of people.
Well, it's the lifetime achievement award. It's you got until the last breath. There's no. I mean, Social Security starts at 65, but this doesn't have a time limit. This doesn't matter. There's no time on this. And if you don't get it this time, you can just start working on it next time. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't expire. The offer to go there, the offer to be in the moment, doesn't have an expiration date. It only has this moment will expire and become this moment. And each
and then
one,
this moment, which is different from last moment.
That's right. And each one is acceptable when you're taking your next step. Each one is the aha moment, whichever one you enter. It doesn't really matter.
Well, but it takes a certain attitude to get there and understand that. But when you are moving through your life and you say you follow your gut, there are decisions that come up, at least for me, there are decisions that come up that are clear as day that this is what I'm supposed to do. Is that how it is for you?
Yes. Yeah, I would say that there's not even the clear of day. It's just the right thing to do. And I don't have to sit on it anymore to say whether it's clear or not. It just feels like the right thing. And it doesn't really need to go further than that. Do you understand? I'm not disagreeing with you,
No,
but
I
it's
understand.
even more. It's just that you just feel it, and when you get good at it, then you just go with it, and you don't have to. Was that a big feeling? Was that a little feeling? Will that give me the total goal or only half to the goal? I mean, all of that disappears in the quiet of just feeling the rightness. And what about the next moment? Well, the next moment, then we'll worry about that the next moment. I don't need to worry about that right now. And so it's a simpler and simpler process. It's an easier process of simplifying
Everything that you do, yeah.
to just simplify things to what is really important. And what's really important is not the overall purpose. It's not the overall what I'm supposed to do here. It's just moment to moment. I don't think those things that, whether we get to $1 million or $100,000 or what is it, 8 figures, $1 billion, or 9, 10 figures, whatever
9
it is,
figures, yeah.
9 figures, or 10 figures for $1 billion. It doesn't. I don't think that's the goal. I think the goal is to just be in the moment, and then whatever comes, and it comes on its own. And so I don't need to worry whether it's about my karma or not. It just is. If it happens, then it is my karma. But it is. If I get into, is that my karma, but that wasn't my karma, then I'm just I'm in a mental dogfight that there's no winning that. And why do I say that? Because 50 years of sitting in classes and reading, 500 books, maybe, and how many classes have I been in? And so this is the residue. It used to be, the idea, well, I better write it down to remember it, and then you get to the place where you either remember it or you don't. And it's nice to have it written down. Some things are nice at a stage, but eventually it comes down to that what you can remember is who you are. You are what you eat. What you can remember is who you are. And acting that way, acting from the space of clarity, that I'm going to take it one step at a time, and I'm not going to diminish myself if I'm in the negative category instead of the positive category 1 minute. I don't see any purpose in doing that. That it doesn't. I mean, it isn't to say I didn't do it, and it isn't to say that I won't do it. But the fact is that I as soon as I start going on that path, it just doesn't feel right inside, and I just stop. I stop mid sentence in
Uh,
my own head.
yeah, yeah. No, I understand. But in the course of your 50 years of working on this, you've learned all kinds of stuff. You've learned about astrology and what's Enneagram? Is that right?
Enneagram,
And the wheel of
absolutely,
totality
absolutely.
and different
Those
different aspects of those. Go
these
ahead.
these modalities have been given to me in order to be able to have a dynamic physical plane, scientific, quote unquote scientific, based on experience, an observation way to explain what's happening to people so that they can understand it. And then when they understand it, then as they get out of their head and their thinking, then their intuition starts. And then they can deal with things in a more um, um, ethereal way, to where the physical plane stuff, it's this be in the world but not of it. I'm going to write a little bit about this my process is that I had to write I saw something that I needed to write the caption for a photo I needed to write a caption for. And I saw a Facebook post and somebody was talking about be in the world and not of it, which was something I learned very early in my disciple years. 40 years ago I heard this. And so I'm going to write. I mean, it just was given to me in a Facebook post, and boom, that's what I was looking for. That's the way that my world is right now. My life is right now, and so I'm going to write it up. But to be in the world, to be present in the world, and playing and listening to the news if you want, and going to the stores and feeding the body, and sitting with beauty and growing flowers, and loving your children and your grandchildren, and then but not of it is that if it's going to leave one moment, and to be detached from the results of that, to be in it so that you can experience it, but not so of it that you lose your own sensibility, your own sense of self, and your own your realization that you're not really the doer, that you are what we are, that life is happening through us, that we're not the body, it's just it's a rental, and that who we are is this essence that keeps going. And when I live from that, then things just generally just tend to flow without any need for me to do anything.
Don't you find that it just kind of happens the way that, and when there's the law of attraction, and there's different laws and things that may apply, but don't you find that if you are of the right mindset and you're just allowing, that the good things will just kind of show up?
Absolutely, but I would rather not use the right mindset because it's not right or wrong. I would just say, I like to say open. That when you're
Ah,
just open, that it's not about trying to attain a mindset, because that's a position. And then that holding that position that I'm right, things are due, then they won't come. But you just have this position of just being open to what is, without any thought of right and wrong, or good or bad, or 12 o'clock or 12:05 or 12:10, whenever it comes, not on without a schedule, then it comes really quick, and it's probably already there as soon as you're ready to start realizing it. I use this phrase: the solutions are waiting for problems.
I I like that. Because I found in my personal journey is that if I'm just open and just relax, and things just happen, the right people come into my life, the right opportunity shows up. All I have to do is pay attention to it, and it will be there for me.
And I call that being open to it, because paying attention, there's still something you need to do, and I don't want to do anything but just be open. It's the doing of nothingness. It's the accepting of what is, and being in this moment free, that if it comes or doesn't come, it's okay, because I'm not expecting anything. And I found that to be a more direct path. I don't want to get into semantics, but it's a complete stance of no stance, rather than having a stance of any stance, even if it's it's a spiritual stance. That isn't going to work. It's not going to work. It's I'm due because I deserve. That isn't going to work. That's not what that's good. That's better, but it's not. My teachers always held up the highest for us. They wouldn't say, well, you've already been meditating for 5 years, why don't you rest on the laurels the rest of your life? The good teachers are always asking you to go beyond. The good coaches, the sports guys, the Seattle coaches are not saying, we've got a 500 record, we're really doing great, keep on 500ing. They want everybody to be the best that they can, so they're holding up to them extreme situations of let's do more and go for more and practice more, even though they're these again, those teams are professional people that you'd think would know better, but that's That's not the reality for the physical plane. Is we forget, and it's at such a high vibration that the completely letting go, rather than somewhat letting go, than having thoughts of letting go and having the intellectual that letting go is good, which is they're all attaboy. They've all got attaboys in them, but what the teachers that we love the most are saying, just be completely open.
Yeah. Just be open. And actually, isn't it just being open to life?
Being open to life, being open to the moment, being open to yes, being open to no, being open to it's light during the day and dark at night, and it's colder at night than it is during the day sometimes, most of the time, and sometimes the moon is bright and shiny, and you can walk outside at night, and sometimes it's completely dark, and they're all okay. They're all just cycles of levels of impermanence, and that everything changes is an incredibly freeing attitude I found in the last, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, that impermanence means that I don't have to be responsible for anything, because everything's going to change, and it's going to change in its own time. And I just want to be open to letting life flow, whatever that looks like.
When you get to that point, isn't it just kind of fun to watch and to see and to watch everything kind of evolve? And you're taking the position that you're not responsible for any of it. You're just responsible to take care of yourself. But
yes, I'm not responsible for the world as a crappy place. I'm not responsible for the taxes are high. I'm starting to tell this line now. I haven't said it to a client, but the clients in my location astrology work, where we try to find them good places. Everybody wants a cheap place where it's easy to be, and it's not very crowded. And I'm ready to tell them that's what we call 1975. This isn't 2023. Everything is expensive, and it's tense everywhere, and everybody wants to move to Barcelona or to Portugal, or there's a few places that Bali, Thailand, India, that I check out, no matter who it is. We're always checking Costa Rica. We're always checking these places out, and I don't imagine that there's so much fun anymore with everybody moving there. But the point is that what I end up telling them is that it's an inside job. They want to find a peace. That's an inside job. I don't want to diminish myself. That's an inside job. The place can help, and we can guide you there. But if you take that baggage there, then it's not going to be any different. You're just going to be looking in the same mirror, seeing the same thing in a different mirror, and that doesn't really work. So the long way, which is shorter, the short way is to go direct. And the direct is that I got to deal with whatever it is that I'm finding fault with right here, right now. I got to deal with that. And then when I go to a place that's more influential for me in certain ways, then I can really dig up on it. Otherwise, I'm going to bring my quote unquote bad attitude to a new place and poison there. That's a little harsh, but I mean, you poison your ability to be able to have it new when you bring an old attitude, and you're not changing any of that. The places are powerful, but not that powerful.
Well, and when we come back from this break, I want to tell you a quick story about I have found nirvana in my cheap place that I can live and do what I'm doing and having a great time, and it all just kind of magically showed up. We're, by the way, guys, your website again is
IndraRinzler.com. It's all one word.
We're talking with Indra Rinzler, and we're going to return in this right after this message. So I want you to stay with us. This is a fascinating discussion with a fascinating man who's been doing this for 50 years, and he really knows what he's talking about. So I'm learning a lot. So I really appreciate everybody that's listening, and I hope you'll stay with us. You're listening to Positive Talk here on KKNW 1150 AM.
Do you need to boost your sales? Join our partnership program. Each quarter, we promote 10 partner businesses. What will you get? The company will produce one 30-second video for your business. Your website links on positivetalkradio.net and kmmedia.pro. One dedicated podcast or radio show per month. one video Instagram reel, one YouTube short, one 60-second clip for social media taken from your interview, and at least one commercial airplay per show. All podcast and video commercials are within the fabric of the show and will remain in the show forever. Visit kmmedia.pro to book a consultation today.
When you want to say more than words communicate, you can with flowers. Your custom boutique floral studio in Bothell, Washington is anaturaldesign.com, connecting you to nature through the language of flowers. Where your people are is where our flowers are beautiful. Your success is our goal. For being our appreciated listener, you can use promo code PTR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your order. anaturaldesign.com at your fingertips today.
We believe in the power of telling your stories. We want to help yours be seen and heard. At the Pacific Northwest Collaborative Magazine, our purpose is to connect you to your community. Let's begin by celebrating the accomplishments of local artists featured in this brand new digital magazine. Here, you can learn about opportunities to creatively come together and support our local community and neighbors through the gift of art and service. If your business or organization would like to take part in this magazine, message us on Instagram at pnw.collab. You can download our free digital magazine at KM Media Pro today.
Thank you to our dedicated fans. We are updating our live on-air schedule to make it super easy for you to hang out with us 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, and live on Fridays with Kixie 8:80 a.m. Seattle Live. You can find our library to binge all the podcast platforms. We can't wait to see you at 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, starting September 4th, Labor Day 2023.
And welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald, and you're listening on KKNW 1150 AM. It is a Wednesday afternoon. I'm sorry if you're stuck in traffic, but the reason that you're stuck in traffic is because we've got a great guest, and you can listen to the entire show while you're being stuck in traffic. So there's a good thing. There's always a good lining in everything that happens, in my humble opinion. And to tell you a story just real quick, I was a bus driver in Seattle for 12 years, and I met another driver that was saying, I live in this place. It's a 55 plus community. It's a mobile home community, and you should check it out one of these days. And so my son and I were driving around one day, and I just had a thought in my head, and I said, hey, let's go over to this place that he was talking about. And so we did, and we were going to go into the office, but standing in front of the office was a real estate agent who was the one who sold the properties within this community. And so we talked to them, and she said, well, I got a couple places I'd like to show you. So took me to a couple places, didn't like them, and we're on their way back to the office. And she stopped at another place. And that a friend of mine who lived here, had also looked at this place, and he chose another place to live. But in any event, so we get out of the car and we look at it, and it turns out to be just perfect for me. Exactly what I wanted. I could afford to buy it. And then my expenses were lower because I wanted to be able to do the podcast 5 days a week. So be careful what you wish for, because then as I was moving into the place, I fell and tore my rotator cuff and had to have surgery. And then I fell again and tore my other arm and had to have surgery on that. So I could no longer work. So now I've been doing 6 to 8 podcasts a week. I've got over 1,000 episodes up between the 2 podcasts I've done, and I'm doing live radio, and I get to talk to incredible people like Indra. And what do you think? Is that a crazy story or what?
That's a wonderful story. Absolutely. Yeah. We when we're open, it comes in the most unexpected ways.
I couldn't have planned it any other way. I couldn't have planned it any better. That's for sure. And I'm very happy with the outcome, and it has allowed me to present and to build a forum so that I can have people like you on that if you and I can have a great conversation, this is how I view it. And it's not up to me who listens to it. That's somebody else's job. My job is to do the best job I can and to bring the best people I can that can have an impact in the world and have impact on people's lives. And that's why you're here, by the way. I hope that's not.
Well, I like that because you say that you let it you let it happen and it just happened. You're getting close to, like you say, you're getting close to letting go of the why question, because
Exactly.
because that's like kind of before it is that you're just happy with what is, and then you realize that I don't need to hold on to why, because it doesn't really do us any good. And the why, not to get stuck in the why, but the whys, the one that wonders isn't really what I want to feed.
Say that again.
The part that wonders why is the mind, and that's not the part that I'm particularly feeding. That's the part I'm trying to just. The minds are great as a GPS, and it's wonderful if you're stuck in traffic, and it's really good when you got a grocery list. But to make decisions with your mind, and to live out of all of the BS that comes from the mind of I got to do this and I should do that, and it's bad if this happens and it's good if this happens and all that. I just turn that. That's positive talk radio I will have on, but that kind of talk radio, I turn that off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I personally believe that the universe is out there for all of our best and for us to live our best lives. And all we have to do is we don't have to do anything. We just have to be.
That's it. Don't have to do, have to be. That's why I go to India. That was the phrase that came in, that popped into me the first time I went, for a long time, almost 25 years ago. I want to go be and not do.
And being is a lot more fun than having a list of things that you have to do, because that's a have to rather than a I want to. And if you you can be happy.
Yeah, you can be unhappy too, but at least you're being,
Yeah,
dig in.
the beautiful thing about that is if you choose to be unhappy, that's still your choice. You
That's
can
your
do that if
choice.
you want to. If that makes you
Yeah,
happy.
that's it. If it makes you happy being unhappy, go for it.
And there are people that there's I don't choose to be unhappy. It's just the way it is. And it's
Well, that's arrogance talking. That's not real truth talking. And we all were at that stage. God bless them. We were all at that stage, but that's not the final stage. That's an intermediate stage. That's an early stage, actually.
exactly. So there's a couple of things. I'm very, very well aware of astrology, but I would love for you to explain how the Enneagram works and the Wheel of Totality.
Okay, the Enneagram of Personality, it's a teaching about 60 years old. It was given to us in its initial form. Enneagram was given to us by Gurdjieff, who some old timers know who he is, but has kind of disappeared about 100 years ago. He was one of the first mystical teachers teaching in Russia in 1916. Very mystical man. So the Enneagram of Personality, Enneagram is a term it's a Greek term, but it's not from Greece. It's a Greek term that they used to call this thing. It means 9-sided figure. And so the idea is the Enneagram of Personality is that there are 9 personality types. There are only 9 personality types, and one of them is at our core, and it's our core triggers and our core personality story, and that it has a high and a low side. The low side is our compulsions and obsessions, and that people with the same number, they're numbered 1 through 9. They also have names, but there's no hierarchy between the numbers, but it's just a convenience. We call them numbers. And people who have the same number running, the same story running, they have a lot of the same patterns in their behavior. And when you understand these behavior patterns of your particular personality type, then you start releasing them. When you realize that, I don't know, Kevin, you seem to me to be a 9. If you're the 9, you're the peacemaker. And as the peacemaker, then you accommodate other people when you were really young, and that you disengaged from yourself, but you're starting to come more into yourself when you started realizing that accommodating didn't really work for you because it didn't take into account your own needs. And so the power of the Enneagram, which I've been working with about 25 years, is that when you understand the patterning of your own personality type, then you are able to let go of those conditioned, patterned ways of being. And that of the 1 billion nines in the world, they all have some very similar personality traits, even aside cultural differences. There may be some cultural differences, but some of the personality types will always be the same.
Boy, I tell you what, you have described me perfectly. I've always been a peacemaker. I've always tried to be kinder to other folks and let what they need to go first versus what I need, which means in a lot of cases, not only don't I get what I need, but I'm being abused at times by self-serving people who are taking advantage of that good nature. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I've heard it 100 times. So
And
the power of it is, I mean, we talked a little bit, and I might have had an opinion of 9 before, but we have not discussed hours and analyzed. But the power of the Enneagram is that in a few minutes I can get this 9 feeling because I've been working with it for 25 years, and that explains that explains some of what's going on. That's how powerful it is. It isn't me. That's the nature of the teaching is that the conditioning and the personality patterns are so strong that whatever your upbringing or whatever, it doesn't matter. That these are the ways that you act, and that you realize that you have to put yourself first. That you got accommodating other people and start accommodating your own self. Otherwise, you're always got a slow burn anger in the pit of your stomach. Is that I'm disconnected from myself.
and the knowledge and power that gives you, if you know that you're a peacemaker and you know that you're subject to certain behaviors that you're going to do, which is really something you don't even think about. It's just is there, but you can recognize it, and then you can say, no, that's really not appropriate for me to do because I'm not taking care of myself at the same time.
Absolutely. That's the mature way of handling it. Absolutely. That when at first it's like, oh, darn, I don't want to be that way. And that's not me. The denial. That's not me. I don't act that way. I know people that do, but that's not me. And then I love when somebody else is sitting there that knows them. And so I look at them and I say, what do you think? And they say, yeah, that's you, honey. Every time. So the thing is that you've got to observe it. And then the work is to stay in the observing of it and to realize you got to be really on top of yourself for weeks, months, and then you get into years. At years, it's not hard. At first you have to sort of remember. And then when you start, accommodating to other people and not taking care of your own needs, then, immediately, you get a button goes off and say, don't do that, Kevin. That's not what we want to do. And boom, it's gone. It's not, maybe not completely gone, because it'll always come back when you're triggered. When you're really triggered, then it's going to be the go-to, but you can learn to put it aside for a long periods of time. And even when it comes up, it isn't as dislocating and upsetting as it was when 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. It becomes a flow of just coming back to your center, coming back to the realizations of what is really helpful for you and what isn't.
Well, and there was a time when I had no earthly idea why I did what I did. But if I had this to look at, I can now say, "Oh, that's why I did what I did." And now whenever those come up, I can now turn around and say, "No, that's really not appropriate for me to continue that way because it's not self-serving. It's not good for me." And by the way, nor is it good for the people that I'm around, because it's not fair to them to put them in that position either. Does that make any kind of sense at all?
Absolutely. And again, as a peacemaker, you're really susceptible to that. As an enthusiast, we just bowl over people and, with our enthusiasm. So we don't do that, but you're a peacemaker. So you need to have peace. So you're really attuned to other people. That's the beauty of your position, is that you're really attuned to other people. So you can tell when they're uncomfortable. The problem is when you ignore your own discomfort, and that because they're going to be uncomfortable, you can distort yourself in order to make it work for them. That isn't going to work anymore in your 60s. That's what you're letting go of, if you haven't already.
And you're absolutely right. Now, do you find the numbers via the birth date or the
okay, so we take a simple paragraph test, and I want to give you this free offer to your viewers or listeners, that if they write me, I have 2 free offers. I'll send you a free Enneagram test that you can take, about 5 or 10 minutes. It's a few paragraphs. You choose between paragraphs, and I'll send you the test. That's free. Just write me by email. And if you want your Vedic astrology chart, sidereal time, send me the same way. Send me by email, indrarinzler@gmail.com, and I'm sure you'll put it in there. I need a birth time, date, and place, and I will send you your chart and maybe make a comment or two and tell you a little bit of how to read it, but it's not a reading. But if you want either of those, so I can see it in people's astrology charts. I can see their Enneagram type for most people, not all people. And but it's based on this paragraph test of trying to figure out what are your core triggers. Are you, so there are 3 core instincts or centers of intelligence. That's anger, emotion, and fear. And so the 8, 9, and 1 are anger based. The 2, 3, and 4 are emotion based, and the 5, 6, and 7 are fear based. And so that's the beginning of the test. And then we figure out whether you're outward bound or extroverted, introverted, or you live in a neutral place. And so there are 9 types, and between the 3 instincts and the 3 extrovert, introvert, or neutral, that's 9 unique energetic Enneagram vibrational signatures. And that's basically how the tests work. And some people are very hard for them to type, and other people, like yourself, if you are in fact a 9, it's like obvious, and after 25 years, it's obvious.
Yeah, well, I've been here for 65, and it's obvious to me too.
Okay, there you go. So, but some people it isn't very obvious, and there's nothing good or bad about that. It's just the nature of their chart is that they're a little bit more innocuous. They're not so grounded in who they are. It's not very clear. They have more 12th house planets or cuspy planets or a couple of different situations you have in the astrology, which makes you not a particularly grounded person. And there's no good and bad in that, but those people have a little bit a tougher time figuring out who they are.
Now, there were people that were fumbling for a pen when we were talking about this free offer that you're offering. And so your website again is www.indra.rizler.com.
RINZ.
NZ. I apparently I need a new prescription on my glasses. It's say it again.
INDRA, all one word, then RINZLER, all together.com. That's the website.com. The email is gmail.com. Write me for either the astrology or the Enneagram test, the astrology chart or the Enneagram test.
And explain to me, because there's one more here that I wanted to touch bases with you on, sure. And that's the Yugas.
Do you want me to go through the wheel?
Oh, yeah, go through the wheel real quick. We've got about 7 minutes left.
Okay, so the wheel is based on the empty houses that nobody talked about in astrology. Each house has an awareness in it. But if you don't have a planet there, that awareness, we don't start working on those awarenesses until we're about 50. And it's a blank spot that when we don't have that planet there, that awareness is hard for us to discern. We know what we know, but we don't know what we don't know. It's part of the what we don't know. And so it's a very deep reading that appeared to me. This was given to me about 10 years ago by Spirit, and it's an incredible reading. The yugas are based that there is the Greek called it the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age, and the iron age. In India, they're called yugas. Sat Yuga, the highest age, Treta Yuga, the next down, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga, which is the lowest, densest age. And they have an ascending cycle and a descending cycle. They go around and around. And so I believe that we're in Dwapara Yuga. We're not in Kali Yuga anymore. Everybody in India thinks we're in Kali Yuga. Everybody that knows what Kali Yuga means, because it's become a term a little bit like karma, Kali Yuga, the densest age. I don't believe we're in that anymore. We have universal healthcare. We have internet. We have atomic bombs. We have the mind body coming back. I mean, talk about 50 years ago and the explosion in yoga and natural foods and natural living. It's not Kali Yuga anymore. It's still here because it's dying, but it is not the age. And so I believe we're in Dwapara Yuga, ascending Dwapara Yuga, and that the good times are coming. You know, they're not here yet. I like to say it's said to be a 2,000-year cycle, and we're 120 years in, and if you divide 120 years of 2,000 by like 9 months, like a pregnancy. We're like 2 weeks in. We don't even know we're pregnant yet. It's 2 weeks in, and everybody's wondering why it isn't here, that it isn't golden carriages everywhere and wonderful, wonderful. We don't even know we're pregnant yet. We're only 2 weeks into this thing. So if you take the ratio of 120 to 2,000 years of that percentage into 9 months is 2 weeks. We don't even know we're pregnant, and everybody's wondering why is greed still around? Let's give it another couple hundred years, and I think it will disappear.
Oh, can't you make it in the next 20, please? So that I'm still here when it happens. That would be great.
Well, I mean, you can be here when it happens by letting it happen right now to you.
Oh, very nice.
You don't have to make it universal. You can make it individual, and then you can spread it to everybody else and make it come sooner. But on its own, it doesn't look like it's going to be here. It doesn't feel like it's next week. I mean, it could be, but it doesn't feel like that. But it is coming because when you look at it over 50 years or 20 years or whatever period of time, 100 years ago, man, we have changed a lot. And to think we're stuck is to be very myopic in your thinking.
Well, I'm convinced that we are on our way, and we're on our way to a much better place of being. And you are right. We have the ability, each and every one of us within ourselves, to change how we interact with each other, and to be kind and to be thoughtful, and to really be a beacon of light for everybody that's around us. And that will make its change in our smaller world, won't it? Or will it?
Absolutely. Facebook 101, you want to change the world, change yourself.
There is a bumper sticker right there.
Absolutely. And thank God we have bumpers.
But still, that's really good. And the reality is that we have lived, you and I have lived in the most marvelous time to be alive, I think, in the history of the planet. Not only do we have indoor plumbing and stuff, but we've got jets to fly around in, and we've got the internet, and we've got all these wonderful things, including the Beatles just published their last song that took 50 years in the writing. So
absolutely.
So
it's a wonderful plane.
Indeed it is. We've just got about a minute left, and I want to leave that to you, Indra, to be able to say to our audience anything that you'd like them to know.
Well, just love yourself, just be in the moment and love yourself, and don't be so hard on yourself and so critical, and realize that it's a marathon. It's got probably other lifetimes associated with, it's not a one and done. It doesn't seem so. Lighten up and appreciate what you have, and appreciate what you don't have. And I'm sending you my love. I don't know, I can't put a face on you, but I feel your heart, and just sending you all the love that you deserve. Everybody out there.
I'm so gifted because I have got a wonderful audience who really, really do care. They care about the planet, they care about themselves, and sometimes we just need a little bit of encouragement to go beyond where we are today. And you've provided that to us today. You're delightful. Will you come back and see me?
Absolutely. Anytime you'd like.
Very cool. Very cool. And then, first of all, I want to say thank you to you. Thank you to KK&W. Thank you to my producers and the folks who work with me. And by the way, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. We'll see you Friday at noon on KK&W.